The magic button. Here we are. It says live, but it's not live. It's just recording. I don't know why they do. There's like really small stuff with StreamYard that I wish they'd tweak.
Right.
I got
Like
you.
sometimes we have people on and they see the live thing at the top and they're like, "Wait, this is live," and it's like, "No, it's not live." It's live. It actually isn't.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. This is THP episode 182. Which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram. We need to plan our trek up that direction.
Yeah. Is our stuff ready already?
I think so.
Oh, damn.
Almost.
Yeah, I know it's got to be getting close.
So,
but yeah, man.
I was talking to Jen the other day, asking her when we should head up there, and she's like February sometime. So we'll have to map that out. And then, yeah, so it's kind of funny. Someone was asking about cage recommendations and stuff yesterday, and I was like, oh, get on the BlackBox train. And someone piped up and was like, oh, at those prices, no thanks. I'd rather wait for my AP than spend those kinds of prices. And then you look it up, and the same size cage is like $50 more.
Yeah.
And they use higher quality PVC and just the whole thing. I was like, whatever, man. Like, I wasn't gonna like argue with the guy or anything. Right. I was like, to each their own, but I just thought it was funny because it's like people think it's way more expensive, but you price compare the same size cage from them to BlackBox, and there's like the difference when you're spending that kind of money anyways is kind of minimal.
Right.
So
it's one thing if you're buying 50 freaking cages, but if you're only buying 1 to 5, I mean, it's
well, sort of the funny thing that I thought, and it was sort of a half joke, is like by the time you get that cage, the animal you bought it for will have already outgrown it.
Yeah.
And so it'll show up and you'll be like, oh, wait, this is too small. And what are you going to do? Like order another one and wait another year? Like,
yeah. I saw some people commenting that somebody ordered it in like June of 21. Got it Christmas of 22. Like, I was like, dude, what?
I mean, hey, if you're okay with waiting indefinitely, that's whatever. Go for it. But
that's insane, man.
If you want your stuff in approximately 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which is the current lead time that BlackBox has, it's one of the best. Go check it out. Facebook, Instagram, BlackBoxCages.com. And then if you'd like hot sauce and you like helping out a dude that helps snakes, you need to go check out Steve Snaketuary. Check out his website, stevesnaketuary.com, as well as his Facebook and Instagram. Give him a follow, see all the stuff he's doing. I think he was doing a school presentation recently, or maybe he was some sort of event where there was kids hanging out with, one of his boas and some other stuff he's got. So
he does all kinds of events, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, but if you get this hot sauce, you're helping him continue to do public outreach and relocations and all kinds of good stuff. And they're cool. Even if you don't like hot sauce, it's still cool little memorabilia, I guess. I don't know how, like a collectible almost, because it's got all the venomous snakes of Louisiana on it.
Yeah, put them up all in your snake room, and pretty much has all the venomous snakes in the southeast. Just
slap a little bit on some mice when you're feeding.
Yeah.
Find out if snakes have taste buds or not.
Yeah. If you're going to feed your alligator some pizza, go ahead and throw some hot sauce on there and finish it off. You know what I'm saying?
Crypto can't survive the acidity of the hot sauce. If you just slap, you baste your pinkies in some cottonmouth sauce. Crypto doesn't stand a chance.
Just inject bleach, all your mice.
It'll survive battery acid, but it will not survive
Steve Snaketuary's hot sauce.
Of course, I'm joking. For love of God, don't
do that.
Cover your feeders in hot sauce.
Please
feed
don't.
them to your snakes.
Please don't.
It has. I don't. I mean, yeah. No, I'm not even gonna say it. It has no effect on your whatsoever.
Oh boy.
But this episode, we're joined by our buddy Ryan Reed, who is right up the coast in the Charleston area. Would it be Charleston or considered more Somerville? I don't even.
Yes, more Somerville, but I always say Charleston.
Oh, I got you.
It's easier for everybody to understand. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
He's been a busy guy. So.
Yes.
As everyone surely, I hope, knows, we currently have the Slate Reed raffle going on right now. It started Monday, I think. No, Sunday night, I think. I started it like a day earlier than I'd planned to, but it's kicked off. There were some BlackBox BioGs up for grabs. I think all the slots on both of those are filled.
I checked that today. Both of them are completely filled.
There was a $300 voucher with shipping, like included on top of that, from Eric Westmoreland at ECW Reptiles. That's completely filled up now. There's a THN like tactical backpack sort of deal that I made from work. That's almost filled. There's a handful of things that are filled up already, and plenty of other stuff that is not. So if you have not checked that out, go to our website, herpeticulturenetwork.com, go to our Facebook page or Instagram, grab some slots. It's been stacking up quick, and the support has been awesome. People have been coming out of the woodwork.
It was kind of amazing to see all the almost right away, like within a couple hours, there was a ton of slots being filled up, and then just a couple days, not even a week into it, it's
because we're going to draw the winners on the 27th, which is a Monday, on the Snakes and Stogies live. So if everything fills up by then we'll draw earlier than that. But currently, have plenty of time for people to grab some chances to win. There's 15 slots per item, so you have a 1 in 15 chance of at least a 1 in 15 chance. I didn't even put a cap on how many slots you could buy. So technically, if someone wanted to win a Mertens monitor, they would just have to buy all those slots, and there you go. So not going to happen though, because there's already been a couple bids on that. So
there's a few on that one.
Well, I definitely want to thank you guys for doing this. I mean, it's really awesome, and thank everyone that is in support of Slate. And I really, really appreciate all that you guys are doing. So
man, of course,
and everyone that. So thank you. Yes.
I also have to shout out Reptiles Express, because the big Mike is helping out with shipping on all the live stuff. So
awesome.
Big help.
Yeah, thank you so much.
But we can get it. So we sort of explained it on previous episodes when we were starting it, like getting the sort of the raffle stuff together, and then on the website page where we're hosting it. And we're hosting it on the website because with live animals and stuff, we did it on Facebook. I think even if we didn't have some live animals, Facebook would still somehow shut it down because they're not getting paid. So we do it on the website because there we are ungovernable, and they can't touch us. That's right. So it works out. Sort of the system I've sort of come up with in terms of setting it up and doing it is really non-invasive and works really well. It's easy for me to keep up with. And it seems like it's pretty easy for everyone else too, as far as understanding how to do it. So, but we did explain a little bit on the page as far as what, why we're doing the raffle and sort of what's going on with Slate. But I figured we'd talk a little bit more, sort of, so people, I guess, better understand sort of what it is, because I had never heard of that particular type muscular dystrophy until you had mentioned it, and I went and did some reading on it. So I mean, if you want to sort of get that, then explain a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research. So Slate's condition is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's the most common fatal childhood muscular dystrophies. It's an X-linked chromosome recessive gene, or mutation. So it affects primarily boys. It can can affect girls, but very, very rare. So his is a mutation that's not typical. The dystrophin gene is the largest gene in the human body. It has 79 exons, and most kids have a deletion, and then some have an addition to their exons. He actually has, his is a mutation in the intron. So I like to tell people that exons are like the train cars, and then the introns connect the cars together. And so his mutation is actually a letter change in the intron 62. So it's towards the end of the gene, and it's literally just, instead of a G, it's an A. And that causes the dystrophin protein that is actually a shock absorber for your muscles. It stops it there. So when it goes through, it hits this mutation. It's like, what's going on here? And it doesn't finish the transcript of that protein, and it causes the Duchenne. There's a lot of advancements out now, which is great. There's hopefully FDA will approve a gene therapy in May, and we're all crossing our fingers for that one. That is going to be by Sarepta, and there's a couple other stuff that's out there. You have like a muscle protectant, which is produced by Edgewise Therapeutics. It's called EDG 5506. And that's another one that might be good for Slate. And there's exon skipping technology. Unfortunately, exon skipping isn't at the degree where it's really sufficient in expressing dystrophin. It produces a little bit of dystrophin, but you're not seeing much, maybe 5%. And the infusions are once a week and stuff like that. So they're looking at ways to help with the delivery system. Even gene therapy.
Yeah, how does that work? Like, what's I hear that, I've heard it before, like in other people talking about it, and reading articles and stuff, but I don't know that I'm fully understand how it works.
Right. So this is not gene editing. This is going to be gene therapy. So a different. So everyone's probably heard of CRISPR. That's like the new buzzword. CRISPR-Cas9 is, and they have different delivery methods. So I think there's up to Cas12 right now. But CRISPR is a gene editing where it actually goes in and it actually cuts your DNA and it replaces it. Now, the thing about gene editing is great because you can potentially cure someone of a genetic disease. Gene therapy, it's believed to give very long-lasting results. But what it's doing, it's putting in genes from a AAV, which is an AAV is a vector that gets into the body. It's a virus, a viral vector. Okay. They take all the bad stuff out of the virus, and it's an adeno-associated virus is what it is. And they put in the dystrophin gene. Unfortunately, since the dystrophin gene is the largest gene in the human body, they can't put the full-length dystrophin in. So they have to do a truncated form. So it's a shortened form. What they did was they looked at a guy who had Becker muscular dystrophy, and he was in his 60s, still walking. Guy lived to be in his 70s, and they looked at his dystrophin and they saw that half of his dystrophin was missing. So they thought, well, if he lasted this long walking, let's look at his gene and let's kind of duplicate that. Mm-hmm. And there's different companies that have different mechanisms of that design that they're working on. And they have different companies that are looking at different viral vectors to get in the body. Because the thing about gene therapy is that once you're exposed to that virus, so an adeno-associated virus is a virus that's they're all around. There's tons of them around. But most time when you get exposed to them, you don't get sick from them. That's why they're good for doing these applications, these gene therapies. And certain ones target certain areas. So you have the AV8s, the 9s, that target the skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, stuff like that, which is important for kids with Duchenne. But if you have a resistance to that, so if you have antibodies built up, then the gene therapy won't work. And not only won't it work, but you actually can kill someone because your immune response is just going to overload your body, right? So, and I guess I should back up saying that I am not a doctor. This is all stuff that I researched. So these are all my opinions on from what I research and the stuff that I gathered. So definitely, if you have any questions, definitely talk to your neurologist or your doctor about this stuff. So what they're working on right now, trying to get non-viral vectors for gene therapy, which would be awesome because then they don't have to dose as high, and then they can dose more frequently. And so they're working with all kinds of different ones. Nanolipids is one that they're looking at, where it's like the fatty lipids that you put the gene into, and then it goes in and it dissolves. Right now, targeting certain areas, it's a little bit harder for them to do that with that technology. So they're working on that. So right now, gene therapy is probably Slate's best option. And they're thinking that it could last, could last 10 years, could last lifetime. They don't know. They've only been doing this. I think the first kid that was dosed was, it was 4 years ago. So we'll see if it wanes after a certain period of time. But, gene editing with CRISPR, Slate would be good for base editing. So base editing is like CRISPR 2.0. It goes in, and instead of doing double strand DNA cuts, it actually goes in and nicks the DNA, and it goes in and it repairs that area, and it changes it back. If it was like Slate's condition, if it was an A, it'd go back to a G. So there's that. And then there's prime editing as well. And that's kind of like a editing software. You go in and, it can edit out larger sections of the gene. So that's all stuff. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, will poo-poo on the gene editing, but I tell you what, man, if it saves my son's life, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at.
It's easy for people to say that when they're not
you're
in a
not the one
situation
dealing
where
with
it's
it.
like that could be the the thing that saves a lot of people, and just
and this is not looking at like cosmetic appearances and stuff like that. It's not looking at, it doesn't even affect germline gene editing. So germline gene editing, where when you change it, it will pass down to your offspring. It stays within this the person. But I mean, look at the nuclear technology. I mean, you can use it for good, you can use it for bad, but I think that overall, and the way that that the medical field is now, there's a lot of restrictions on what you can do and what you can't do, and I think it's just going to be transformative for the medical industry. They're already using gene therapy for hemophilia, for sickle cell anemia. I mean, and they're looking at cancer, diabetes, different macular degeneration. I mean, all kinds of stuff that can really, impact kids and people that are sick from various diseases, especially these genetic diseases. So
it just blows my mind that they figured out that they can replace things like that,
Right.
and B, like, we're gonna put it into basically a virus and have that deliver it that way.
yeah.
Like, and to think that it really wasn't even that long ago that we didn't even know what like a chromosome looked like.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
it's just, you think about the span of time, it's almost a blink in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Like, it's just
right. What I always look at is it's like a road system, right? You got a dirt road, you're going to go slow. You pave that dirt road, you're going to go faster. You make it 2 lanes, you're going to go faster. You make it a highway, and everything speeds up. And I think that's where technology is today. The biggest thing is funding.
Yep.
You know, trying, because there's stuff out there, funding, and just like regulatory issues on getting things approved. And that's even getting better. They got orphan status for some drugs. They got fast tracking of drugs now. So the process of these trials is going faster now. So, but one thing with the Edgewise 5506 that's actually doing trials right now, the kids have to be on steroids for at least 6 months. So that's where we're waiting to make sure, we got to get Slate through the 6 months of steroids. And that's a bad thing about Duchenne, is that right now, that's the only standard of care, for drug wise, is corticosteroids. There's another drug, Vamilorian, that will hopefully be approved later on this year, maybe in the fall. And that's a dissociated steroid that has a lot of benefits to take in, like the corticosteroid, but it has a lot of it doesn't have the negative effects, as many negative effects. So the bone fragility you don't have as bad. So height, when kids are on steroids for long term, they tend to be a short stature, weight gain, mood swings, kind of high blood pressure, sometimes diabetes, all that kind of stuff can be associated with corticosteroids. So this new dissociated drug, steroid, would be really beneficial, because even with gene therapy, it doesn't look like, from all the research I've been doing, it doesn't look like there will be a one and done cure right now.
Right.
So the thing is a cocktail of drugs to, keep them living and growing and moving forward. And I'm fine with that. I mean, you look at people that have HIV that, they take medication, they can control, their symptoms, and, there's a lot of.
It wasn't the case 40 years ago.
No. And cystic fibrosis, same way. I mean, 10 years ago, that was a death sentence. Now, they have drugs out there that can help them. So, as long as, I don't need to hear cure, which I would love to hear cure, but I don't need to hear that. I just need to hear he won't ever see a wheelchair. He'll be able to, live a fairly normal life. He's 5 now, and he's showing some signs. So he can't jump like other kids do. He doesn't run as fast. So he already has that fibrosis in the muscles, the fatty replacement in the muscles, and he can still walk. So that's good. So he won't ever, I don't think, unless they come up with, and there are cell therapies and stuff like that are trying to help, like, rebuild muscles and stuff like that. there's one cell therapy right now. It's called Hope. I think it's in Hope 2 right now, which helps the heart muscle and allows these kids to, move their arms more than they did before, which is awesome. That's not approved yet. That's still going through the clinical trials, but a lot of the data is very positive. So the one thing that, for the first month and a half, I was just devastated. Well, I mean, Justin,
Yeah,
of course.
Government. It was just, it was so bad where it was almost like I would wake up to a nightmare every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that most people can't even imagine, man, and having to live through it. I mean,
to hear it.
Whoops.
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
alarm. But that's horrible, man.
I know, like when you were talking about it and you and I were sort of texting back and forth and, you still weren't exactly sure what was going on, and obviously I was hoping that it wasn't going to be that,
Right.
We had planned on doing another raffle at some point anyways, because the last one we did was in May. And so I was like, if we're going to do one, like this is going to be it,
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. And it, hopefully, knock on wood, he gets the treatments and he gets better. There was one gene therapy that came out, I think it was last year. It was the most expensive drug at the time. It was a gene therapy so it's one shot, and it was $2.8 million for that one treatment.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Really crazy expensive. And so, we're applying for, Medicaid and all that stuff for Slate and, Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, Cure Duchenne. These organizations are awesome. They really are there to support, the people that are affected by Duchenne and other muscular dystrophies. And, I think, that's a powerful thing, that advocacy groups working to try to, get these drugs available to people, even though they're, super expensive, but, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are you went to MUSC, I'm sure, at some point, but you mentioned that they did not have a specialist. Is it like a specialist for this type?
Yeah. So
that you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So they have neurologists there, but no one that specialized. I mean, Duchenne is really a rare disease. I mean, it affects, they go back and forth between 1 to 3,600 to 1 in 5,000 boys is generally the statistics that they use. So it's a fairly rare disease. Between 12 to 20,000 kids in the United States have this. And the thing that about that is that you're not gonna, for a doctor, especially one that sees all kinds of conditions, they may see 1 or 2 a year, if that. So we ended up MUSC sent us to Prism Healthcare up in Spartanburg, and we saw a doctor there, and she was awesome. She was really good, but she didn't do a lot of clinical trials. So that is really what we wanted is getting into these clinical trials, because there's just, other than corticosteroids, that is the only. I mean, even when we went to MUSC, they said take your son home, love him, and there's not a whole lot you can do. Get him on steroids.
God.
So yeah. So it was a devastating blow. So we found a doctor up at Duke, and he's been awesome. I mean, he's been great. I'll email him, and half an hour later he'll email me back. I mean, he's just a real good guy. And Duke is also through the Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy. Duke is one of the certified Duchenne centers. So when so when Sarah and I take Slate there, he has to see like a whole slew of doctors. It's not just one doctor,
Mm-hmm.
because it affects his whole body.
Right.
So, he's going to see a physical therapist, the neurologist, the cardiologist, pulmonologist, all kinds of doctors he'll see. So it's a long day process. Sometimes it can be 2 days. So, it's one of those things where, we wanted to get him to the best place possible. And for us in our location, Duke seemed to be the best place.
And
Yeah, I
how
mean,
far
it's-
away is Duke from you?
So Duke's, it depends on traffic, but I would say around 5.5 hours, maybe.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
wow.
Raleigh, Durham, right?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. So we just are getting him signed up because we've been going to Spartanburg. So we just got him signed up. So we haven't done our first visit there yet. That's in March. So we plan on going up there and staying the night at some hotel or whatever. We're trying to, do it where it's positive for Slate, because he's going to probably get poked and prodded and stuff like that. So we want to do something that's going to be fun. So, we got to, maybe do a children's museum or something the next day or something. We want to make it a positive experience for him, because this is going to be his norm for the foreseeable future.
It's hard enough, like as an adult or even a teenager to deal with this, but to be a small child and not really grasping the situation and understanding, I mean, that makes it all that much harder, man.
Yeah.
Taking a kid to the dentist is hard enough, but going through all this is
especially once they figure out sort of what the deal is.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And at this point, Slate knows that he's not like the other kids.
Right.
Because, I was talking with him the other day and I was like, "So, buddy, how's everything going at school?" And he's like, "Oh, good." And you notice anything? And he's like, "Well," he goes, "I don't run as fast as the other kids and stuff like that." And I was like, "Well, buddy, you got special muscles."
Right.
Yeah. So he knows that kind of stuff, and they kind of help him at school, because he can't exercise too much, because if he overexerts himself, then he's just breaking down those muscles even faster.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, we live in a tri-level house. So, you go downstairs to the family room, you got to go upstairs to the kitchen, you got to go upstairs to the bedroom. So, my wife and I are trying to carry him as much as we can. Like, "Hey, buddy," even though he can go up the stairs now, we try to carry him.
Yeah.
And then he also has braces to try to stretch out his legs and ligaments, because the thing is, contractures are really bad. Contractures generally cause non-ambulatory condition more than like muscle weakness. Muscle weakness is eventually, the cause, but contractures, not being able to get that foot at a 90 degree. So we have him in braces, and we ordered some night splints for him, got him sized for that. So he'll be wearing the night splints too, and stretching and weekly physical therapy. So he goes to physical therapy every week. And so hopefully that will keep him mobile. Kids generally lose ambulation by 10, 12. I'm hoping that it's going to go longer for most of the kids, because with all the new, therapies out now, kids are walking longer. The drugs, and when I talk about corticosteroids, not only prednisone, but deflazacort is another one that is a corticosteroid that's specifically for Duchenne kids, and that's supposed to be really good in the long term. And then once kids become non-ambulatory, steroids are also still recommended, because it actually helps their heart and their arm functions as well.
Right. So is he in any like daily pain at all or anything like that?
So every once in a while, he'll get cramps in his
Okay.
legs,
Okay.
leg cramping. That's the biggest thing. He has huge calves. As a matter of fact, I went in the summer before we even knew he had Duchenne. We went to Dick's Sporting Goods, and he's walking around, and this lady stops. She's like, "Oh my gosh, your son's a little bodybuilder because his calves are huge, and he's just like really solid." But what that
Right.
is that's fat replacing muscle, and it's that
Ah.
fibrosis, which, I mean, you feel his leg and it feels rock hard, and you think, oh wait a minute, that feels like
Yeah.
muscle.
Right.
But that's an indication. The biggest indication for Slate when we took him and they saw his, he had a Gower sign where if he got down on the ground, when he got up, he didn't just jump right up. He kind of used his hands on his knees and picked himself up that way. Some kids, it's more severe. They kind of walk their hands up with their feet on the ground and with their butt up in the air, and then get on their hands or get on their knees and stand up that way. So the Gower sign is a big indicator, and also toe walking can be.
That's what I heard when I was reading about it. They said that was one of the sort of the initial signs was walking on the tippy toes.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with we try to tell him, and that's why we have him in the braces to get him from not walking on his tippy toes, because that can cause the contractures, because your tendons are tight back there, and
do they do that just because it's more comfortable?
They're trying to keep their balance, because their core around their waist area, their core muscles are weakening. So it's kind of a balance thing for them.
Gotcha.
And they, Slate kind of sticks out his chest a little bit with his arms back. And we always thought that was cute. We're like, oh look, he's walking like a little penguin, But yeah, that's an issue there. But what was I going to say about I was going to say something about his the CK levels. That's we had a blood test done on him, and his CK levels are a big indicator. His CK levels, they should be around 80 to under
like
300.
Calcium, potassium.
It's a so it's a creatine kinase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so his CK levels were 35,000.
Holy.
Yeah. So, and that creatine kinase it shows muscle damage. It's a chemical that shows a muscle damage. So when your muscle's breaking down, it's released into your bloodstream, and his liver enzymes were off the charts. Yeah. So then we had the genetic testing, and good thing for technology. Probably maybe 10 years ago, might not have shown that mutation that he has. So it was good that we got that done at this time. And like I said, the thing that's paramount is that there becomes some sort of medication that can treat this at the earliest stage, because even at 5, he's probably going to have issues the rest of his life from this, unless they come up with muscle regenerated technology, like stem cells that they can inject into your calf muscles or something like that. I'm not sure. But right now, the way it's looking right now, they're trying to get it before a lot of that damage is done. And unfortunately, a lot of these gene therapies are for ambulatory patients right now, because once you become non-ambulatory, it's harder to correct, issues that are presented. So my whole thing is, I'm going to start with Slate, and then once Slate's good, I'm going to keep on going, keep on going until every kid is healthy.
Yeah, it's, man, like I said, being in, like, putting myself in that position, like, I can't fully wrap my head around it. You know, I was just talking to Katie about it the other night and sort of talking to her about the condition in general, and you know, she started crying because it doesn't take much, especially when we're talking about, you know, our child, and it's just that's the way I described it when I was talking to Phil, was like, that is a parent's nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, and it just
you
know, can't even put it in words.
No,
It's
man.
just,
all I can say is all of our hearts go out to you, and you got nothing but
appreciate it.
Good vibes going out to you, man. You know, I've been thinking about you and Slate, you know, every day, and
thank you,
man.
Yeah,
but I know us and a lot of the community are, you know, behind you and only hoping for the best, man.
Yeah. Everyone's so great. I mean, it's, you know, I hate that, Slate has this condition, and it's the worst thing in the world. And the only positive thing about this is the support from everybody, and it's overwhelming. And like you said, Justin, like with your wife crying about, dude, I can't. I mean, any commercial on like St. Jude, or I mean, I'm bawling. It's crazy now. So I support St. Jude. I support Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, Cure Duchenne. I mean, I'm like putting all these dollars to these advocacy groups, because at the end of the day, they're they got the biggest voice.
Right.
And I'm trying to get up to Washington in March to help with Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy if I can. So politicians hear that we need funding, and we are so close. I mean, I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And we just need to get there. And the kids, I mean, they needed this stuff a long time ago. And every minute of the day, their muscles are breaking down. It's just we need something sooner than later. That's for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I really am positive now about the future, and I like talking with the community, but sometimes that becomes overwhelming, because a lot of times you'll talk with someone that's been through all the stuff, and like, okay, well, get ready. This is what's gonna the steps. I'm like, no, this is 2023.
Right.
That doesn't have to be what's gonna happen from now forward. So and like I said, with some of these technologies, with this HOPE-2 trial with the stem cell, these kids that are non-ambulatory right now, there's a lot of hope for them as well. Kids are living longer. I was actually talking with someone yesterday, and she had a cousin who had 3 boys in the 80s, and all 3 of them had Duchenne. Wow. And 2 of them passed away at 18, and 1 lived to be 28.
Wow.
But nowadays, kids are living into their 30s, and some are into their 40s. And I think there is one guy, he lived into his 50s, so standard care is changing. The drug companies are working hard, and a lot of these drug companies are actually starting to work together. I mean, it's one of those things where you want to be the first to come out with something, but I think people are realizing, hey, we need to work as a community to get the job done.
Yeah, there's power in numbers, man. It's This isn't one of those, you know, like, yeah, everybody wants to do something first, but at the end of the day, like this isn't like this is a need, and it's
Right.
not.
Yeah, it's not the race to
It's
clone
not
sheep.
like we need it in 5, 6, 7 years. We need it now.
Right.
You know, it's not. This isn't a joke. Like it's serious. There's power in numbers. Like it's. I would hope they're banding together to make this happen sooner than later, man. You know, it takes a village.
Yep, it does. It does. So,
Mhm.
so I think that's kind of, you know, my new calling, I guess, in life.
Hey, man,
I
yeah,
want to
that's
say,
great.
yeah. So anyone out there that also wants to support, you know, these organizations, look into, you know, Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, look into Cure Duchenne. There's Cure Rare Diseases. There's a kid named Elijah Stacy, Destroy Duchenne. If you check his YouTube videos, that kid, I tell you what, man, I wish I was as motivated and optimistic as him. He is just he's amazing. You know, he's in his 20s. He's a motivational speaker, and he's getting things done. You know, he's so that's good to see. You know, a lot of positivity with these kids. A lot of them are like, you know, it's crazy. A lot of them are like, you know, the disease is actually harder on my parents than it is on me. And, you know, and they're in a wheelchair, you know, and, you know, can't do a lot of things that other people can do. And I'm like, wow, that's, you know, that's crazy. So anyway.
Definitely makes you sort of realize or remember that a very large percentage of the you know, the sort of day-to-day bullshit we deal with is so inconsequential.
Yeah.
And
yes,
like problems that may have seemed big at one point, now you kind of just they're laughable. It's like whatever, you know.
Exactly. You know what? It's so funny you say that, because that's exactly what Sarah and I say. The little things in life, that does not matter anymore.
No.
Yep.
Just let it go. And another thing I wanted to mention too, like with funding, since it's such a rare disease, even though it's the most common fatal childhood disease, it's still very rare. And it's an undermet disease because of the rarity. But if you look at it, if you look at society, about 1 in 10 people have some sort of rare disease.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at all the different rare diseases, put them all together, about 1 in 10 people have a rare disease.
As a collective, they're not that rare.
It's not that rare anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So
Did it like? I mean, I assume that it came from your side.
So,
like, you haven't had family history of it or anything? Like no one else? I don't know if you have any siblings or not, but
right. So since it's a X-linked recessive chromosome mutation, it comes from the mother, and my wife did get tested, and she did carry the gene, the mutation. She did carry the mutation. So, so yeah, and you know that's one thing. It's like that's so vital now that people go and get, you know, genetic testing. You know, before that was not, you know, before it was so super expensive.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot less expensive. And they're really pushing for newborn screenings too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they can determine that the child has Duchenne at birth, then because the child usually doesn't start showing symptoms until, you know, usually about 4 or 5, they start showing stuff. Sometimes they'll start around 2, but those are really, it's kind of hard to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
So most kids don't actually get diagnosed until about 4 or 5, 6.
Yeah, I
so
mean, if they can pick up on that early and get a 4 to 5 year head start on it, then that's a that's a
exactly
big chunk of time in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
that could be a difference between, like, you know, even if it does, like, you start showing symptoms, you know, that could be a difference of showing it at 5 versus 15, 18, you know, if you start getting treated at birth, you know, essentially.
Yeah. And with the new therapies coming out, I think it's going to be transformative. It's going to be where, these kids that are getting diagnosed at birth are going to live a normal life, and they might still have to get treatments throughout their lives, but they're not going to have the same issues. So
yeah,
that's really a positive thing. So
Yeah.
well, I know your collection has changed a pretty good bit.
Yes.
All this going on. I don't even know what you're holding on to anymore.
So yeah, I've downsized a lot. Matter of fact, someone said the other day, like, "Hey Ryan, I'll come to your house, but I won't stay over there because you got snakes." And I was like, actually, I have no snakes anymore.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I'm actually down to, I have beaded lizards, I got Gila monsters, I got blue tongue. What else do I got? I got ciliatus gecko. I got a few tarantulas, and I got a ton of frogs still, and then I got a Burmese black manotaurs.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah,
those are cool.
Yeah, he's really cool. So, but yeah, that's, and then a ton of tropical plants because
Kind of fits.
Yeah,
with the frogs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So, yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go.
I was just gonna say, yeah, the frogs are really the frogs are really the most amount of work right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
I see pictures of, like, I had a Facebook memory of my imitator Veraderos pop up the other day, and I was like, damn, I miss it. Like, I miss Ranitomea the most, I think. Like, those were just, that is such a fun genus of frogs, and eventually I would like to get back into them, when I have more space and stuff, because they were just fun. Like, the Vanzolini I loved.
That was one thing that, like, I was surprised you got out of, because of how into the frogs you were for so long. Like, I couldn't believe it when you finally
tough.
like pulled the trigger and
It
got
was
rid
one
of
of
them
those
all.
things where it's like I can
Man.
keep these and enjoy them, or I can focus on the snake stuff that I wanted to focus on, and it was a tough decision. Same with the Brettles, it's very similar to that. It's like I don't really want to get out of them, but it's kind of this or that. And
yeah.
But Ryan's the one that all the frogs went to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So when you get back into them, just let me know, because I will hook you up. Because they breed like crazy. So
that's great.
Yeah, and that was a fun process too. Was rearing the tadpoles and stuff, like those Vitatus that I had. Like, mother of God, the amount of tadpoles and stuff they were cranking out was just unbelievable. Which now I almost kind of wish that, because I'm planning to breed the rhinos this year, I kind of wish that I had at least held on to like a pair or something, because they loved when I had that single first baby from Terry that disappeared. It hadn't fully transitioned over to mice yet, and I remember I had some Vitatus tadpoles, and so I put like one or two in the water bowl, and they were gone in like 10 minutes. I went back and checked, and they disappeared.
Wow.
So I was like, now I'm thinking, if I'm breeding those this year and I end up getting eggs and getting babies like that, that would have been a nice alternative to rosy reds and stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It got to the point where I had so many Vitatus that I was just wholesaling to Underground and Triple L, because I was like, it's a common frog. It's not an expensive frog. And I was like, so I have all of these. No one's going to buy 30 Vitatus, froglets. And I just happened to check the websites of both Underground and Triple L, and they said they were out of stock on both. So I emailed them. I was like, hey, you guys, I see you guys don't have any Vitatus. I've got some if you want them. And, made them a deal, and managed to, I think I did that twice before I got out of them. But the Ranitomea, if I got back into it, it'd definitely be thumbnails again. Mostly, I think.
Yeah. They're awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah. I love the calls, and that's really cool. Those, and I like the Lukes, man. I tell you,
those were fun too.
Yeah. And they're a very classic frog. And I like them because, they'll eat, but, they're kind of in between, the amount that some of, like, phyllobates, man, they'll eat you out of the house,
Mhm.
you know, and even the tinks, man, they eat you out of the house a lot of times too. I make 12 cultures every 2 weeks just to
Wow.
keep up with. And I mean in the 32 at the 32 ounce containers. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That was one of the reasons that I kind of decided that was the time to sort of move it on as well. Was like I was really, for whatever reason, the last handful of cultures that I had either bought or started just really, really struggled, and it was super frustrating because it was like I keep having to buy cultures and like I get them and they just crash. Like I don't, whether I bought them on eBay from someone else or if I made them, because for the longest time, like the first like I don't know 2 years that I had stuff, like I had no issues, everything was steady and stuff. But for some reason, I hit a serious speed bump with the cultures, and I don't know exactly what it was, but that was super frustrating, and that was just one of those things where it's like this is space I need, and these cultures are kicking my ass, so maybe it's just time to transition,
move along.
Yeah. I use a certain formula, and I've had pretty good success with the formula that I've used, and I use it for Malagasters and Heidi. I don't switch it up. And then I also put in bee pollen, which I'm not sure if that and paprika. I'll use that too, and that seems to help out a lot. Knock on wood, I haven't had anything crash.
Yeah, I'd added cinnamon to mine because that's supposed to help.
Yeah, I put cinnamon in
and stuff at bay, but I don't know what it was, man. Like I'd have a culture doing great, and then I'd go in 2 days later, and like there's nothing in there.
You know it. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy because I was actually given some. I got a fruit fly flying around right now. I gave some cultures to one of my buddies who he works at Bee City, and he was having issues with the culture. Yeah, Chris. So he was having issues with the cultures too. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but hey, if you get back into them, I'll send you a bunch of media. And
that's the problem. Is like over at my parents' house right now. There's 2 exoterras in the attic,
just waiting,
waiting
to be.
I know my dad
frogs.
at some point is gonna be like, "I need you to come get these because it's my old room and they're about to clean it out because it became a catch-all for a lot of stuff." So, I don't know. Like I had the Lukes and the Vanzolini in our bedroom, which I thought was awesome, especially the Vanzolini because I just had it on our dresser at the time. Katie wasn't crazy about it, but I think over time she kind of came around. But I think it's awesome to have just a small, I think the 12 by 12 by 18 exos.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just having one of those around the house, like with some Ranitomean and of some degree, like it's so light years easier than like Aquaria in terms of dealing with stuff and like self-sustaining and it was the Vitatis tank was in our living room, and so that was kind of a conversation piece because people would come over and they'd see, they're like, "Oh, what's in here?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's in the wild, that's the 3rd most toxic species of dart frog. But you're gonna hear them, but you're not gonna see them because they'd call all day long." But those, I miss having sort of the tanks and having a quiet house and hearing the calls and stuff.
Yeah, dude, that would be
it was really nice.
That would be the reason I got into them, just to listen, because where I grew up, we had a little 1/4 acre pond, and every time it rained, the toads and bullfrogs and leopard frogs would come out, and I would just crack my window at night and just listen to them go crazy, man. And it was, I loved it. It was my favorite thing about being out there.
Those little imitator Varaderos, man, too. Those things were always out.
Oh yeah.
The Vanzolini, you'd walk in, they'd see you, and they'd kind of take off. But those little Varaderos did not care. They were
man,
bold.
Dude, and they're reproducing. Like I'll look in there and I was like, "Oh,
really?
Hey, yeah, there's a little guy in there," and then it'd be popping up. Yeah, they're really cool. Yeah, and I kind of let them do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put in a little bit of, I'll put in the little film canister, and they raise them up, man. And I'll have some artificial bromeliads in there.
Mm-hmm.
I get into some live bromeliads, but man, I tell you what, bromeliads really need a lot of good air movement. Yeah,
I don't know. I had one in the Vanzolini tank, and they were dropping tadpoles and stuff in there all the time.
Yeah. Was the bromeliad doing really well for you?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I didn't have any issues really with any of the bromeliads I was using. I think it wasn't anything super fancy or exotic. I think it was kind of the bulletproof model.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching them use those things naturally was really cool.
Yeah.
The Vanzolini in particular, the parental care, just that's always been the thing that's fascinated me with Ranitame in particular, and dart frogs, I guess, in particular, but thumbnails specifically, is something that small can be that complex socially and behaviorally. Because if you think, I mean, their brain is likely nothing more than like a ganglia of nerves, really. Like, they're so small, but they do these things that you wouldn't expect out of something so tiny. It was really cool, and to watch, the dad have the tadpoles on his back and carrying them, and watching them both make trips back and forth to Bromeliad and taking care of things, and it was cool as hell. And it was the same thing. Like, you'd get a froglet, and I'd go in there and check on things in the mornings or something, and you see a little tiny Vanzo, jumping around, having to go in there and try and catch it so I could separate it and raise it up. Like, it's just that group of frogs is just so damn cool.
Yeah, they are really neat. So is it the tinks that are the big blue ones?
Yeah.
Those are my favorite, man. They're so cool.
Yeah.
Are those big collars? Do they call much?
They do.
So it's almost like a electrical sound to it. I think it's like a low buzz.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Justin?
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know. It's just you really have to listen to it.
Okay, so it's not something that really sticks out.
The Lukes, which are the bumblebees, the yellow and black ones that I had in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like those, Harlan explained those great. He's like, they sound like little tiny cars trying to start up because it's just, and like, they would call a good bit, and then there'd be a couple times where like we'd turn the lights off to go to bed, and they'd call for a few minutes, and it was when it's quiet in the house, like it's loud. They're not a necessarily a quiet species, but it just made me laugh because it's like it's dark. Like, go to sleep, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. They have that trill. That's really, I love that. Yeah, they're awesome, man. I love them. Yeah. And they're very hardy too. So.
I'm definitely partial to the bigger species. As far as looking goes, I really like looking at the big ones. Like, I don't know why. Maybe because they're easier to see. They're bigger, but there's something about them, man. They're so freaking cool.
Yeah. I like the large ones. I just I like that call. I like the whole.
Oh yeah.
So when I look at a tank, I got this stupid one fruit fly going around my face. It's just that one. So there's and I'm actually in the frog room right now. So the thing that I like is like the whole picture. I got the plants, the call, then I'll see them every once in a while, and it's really cool because the thumbnails. You're looking in there. You're looking one tank. I have an imitator in there, and I didn't think that was still there. I thought it had died or something because I hadn't seen it for like 6 months. But every time I fed, I'd throw some stuff in there. 6 months later, she shows up. I'm like, what? And, like, I've been looking for you for literally, like, I've even like tore through the tank and I didn't find anything. And then like 6 months later, she's like perched on a leaf.
What's up, yo?
Wow. Yeah. Perched on like a synapse. Yeah.
The Vanzolini had a really nice call. Like, it's loud enough to where you can hear it, but it's not so loud that it's obnoxious.
And...
Yeah. But yeah, Jake, if you want to ever get into any of them, especially the tinks, they breed like crazy. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you like the
get into tanks, but I never pulled the trigger on them. I just didn't have the space.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of Azorius, so they breed like crazy. Those are cobalts
the big
that
blue
breed.
one.
Isn't there another bigger species that's like kind of green and black, and they're it's like barred?
So there's the Eratus. They're not really bigger. They're actually more like I don't know, medium size, like the Lukes.
Okay.
And some of them are more shy than others. If you want to get ones that are fairly bold, like the Costa Rican green and blacks are good. A lot of times, like if you get, I have the Penny Blancas, and they're, they're a little more shy. So some of the different color morphs are a lot of times a little bit more shy than
Yeah.
So a lot of the blues and blacks, they're gonna be more recluse.
I got you.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
But they're all cool.
Yeah, man.
Fun.
I always loved whenever Justin was keeping them. That was one of the first things I looked at. It was like, look at this little frog tank. Like, where are they at?
Yeah.
It's also super satisfying to set up a tank and then watch it thrive and watch the plants just explode, and like to the point to where it's like I gotta trim this thing because it's just it's about to bust the doors off the the freaking exo. But
Well, and I've actually had some frogs go missing because of that, because the plants have grown so much that it would actually push the back of the tank up a little bit. And I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah. Actually, the imitator that I was telling you about, she was in a bigger tank with the other imitator. They're just the greens, and I didn't even know she was missing because I have a group of them in there. And one day I was taking a plant. I think it was in the wintertime, so I had a lot of my tropical plants in the room, and I went to water. I picked it up, and she had got into the bottom right where the catch pan is, where the water catch pan was, just to get to that moisture. And she was sitting in that. I was like, what in the heck? So I put her into a different tank, and I saw her for, several months, and then all of a sudden she was gone. I was like, man, this is an escape artist here.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, she showed up, and I was like, wow, she just hides really good.
Yeah, that's.
Do you ever keep any Pumilio?
No, I haven't had any. Jeez. No, I haven't had any. I've had them like come through, like I would get them for other people, but I'd like to.
I tried some blue jeans. I traded a group of the Vitatis.
I remember when you got
for some of those blue jeans, and they're imported, but I don't know. It was supposed to be a trio of them, and I never really saw them. I'd have to do like welfare checks on them on a regular basis because I'm like, I haven't seen you in at least a week. And I don't know. I don't know that those, if I had held on to those sort of long term, if they would have done any better. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the people are getting them to reproduce better in captivity. A lot of those egg eaters are a little bit harder to to take care of and keep, but they're cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to. I mean, and there's so many different species in the Ufega genus that's just really cool. So eventually, once things calm down, and hopefully we get Slate on the right track, and maybe I'll expand again on stuff. But after telling you guys all the stuff that I had, after saying that I downsized, I still have a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were big into venomous for a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean,
everything sort of happened lately. But.
Yeah. Before my wife and I got married, actually, when she first came over, to my house in Myrtle Beach, I had over 350 venomous.
Golly,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it was
Holy
crazy. So matter of fact, I remember. So her and I met in grad school, and I remember her dad and mom came to the house because I was looking for another roommate, and her dad was like, saw the snake room, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" He's looking in. He goes, "Oh, is that a Paul Fatter?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." He goes, "Oh, yeah," and he told Sarah, he's like, "You need to live here," because he really likes snakes. So it was kind of cool because she was really into the reptiles as well. So
nice.
yeah, but
That's rare, man. I get
yeah,
nine times out of 10, it's I'm not coming to your house. Well, I
right.
didn't invite you, so
Right.
fine.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, after Slate came along, I got rid of all my stuff. I still have the beadeds and the Gilas, but they're in a locked cage. They're all in locked cages in a locked room. So,
Right.
And they're high up, so he never goes where they're at. So,
Right.
yeah.
How many Gilas do you have?
I have 3. Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep. Yep. I have 2 bandits, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
What about beadeds?
6 beadeds, I think, are out there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. 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 I have them chilling down for the season. So
You trying to reproduce those?
No.
Okay.
I just keep them. On a cycle just to keep them on a cycle. Yeah. But and I even have my my Burmese black out there. Sometimes if it stays cold for too long, I'll bring them in. But I generally just keep them all out in the garage area. So it's not heated, but I have my water heater out there and our washer and dryer are out there. So it actually stays fairly warm. I have a monitor out there, temperature thermostat there, and it never drops below 50 degrees out there in the garage, even when it's 20 degrees outside.
Right.
So yeah, it stays, decent.
How does in terms of keeping the Gilas versus the beadeds, are there any major differences in terms of how you're keeping those as far as like feeding or anything like that? Like, are you giving the beadeds more because they're bigger?
Yeah, I give them, size appropriate meals. But yeah, they're pretty similar. The beadeds generally keep them a little bit more humid, but not much. I mean, the beadeds. I tell you what, beadeds love the water bowls. They love crawling in there. In the wintertime, I don't give them a big water bowl. Just the temperature out there, I tend to give them a smaller water bowl. And the Burmese black, they really like humidity too. The Burmese black mountain tortoise. A lot of people that have them that keep them inside in the wintertime, they try to keep them dry, and a lot of times they can get a upper respiratory for being too dry. You want to give them moisture, keep them pretty moist. So not wet, but don't want to dry them out too much. So they're a good one for our.
For what?
They're good for our area. The Burmese black.
Yeah, the Kinexus co-op guys keep tempting me with all the stuff they're doing. I talk to Tyler on the regular, and he's like, "Man, I'm gonna when I get some, let me know."
Yeah,
just
shut up! I can't.
Yeah, there's just too much stuff, man.
Yeah, there is
too much cool stuff.
Dude, I tell you what, if I could get more Burmese blacks for the backyard, and then maybe get some red legs and like a cherry head or maybe an Amazon yellow leg, that'd be sweet.
Well, it's funny too because I've traditionally never been much of a turtle or tortoise guy, but there's just a couple species where it's like, yeah, I'd break the rule for that.
I'd break.
Yeah,
I had water turtles as a kid, and those were a real pain. If I was going to do any water turtle right now, it would be diamondback terrapins or an alligator snapper.
Yeah, alligators are really nice.
I've also been tempted by those because Bill Bradley's like, dude, I got one. He's like, I'll send it to you right now. And I'm like,
mm.
and all you gotta do is say the word.
We go to the zoo and I show Katie. I was like, yeah, remember when Bill wanted to, had one that he said I could have. I was like, that's what they are when they're big. Which was probably stupid on my part because she's like,
no,
what the hell?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but they take like 30 years to get that size.
Yeah, it's Ellie's problem then.
Yeah, exactly, it's an heirloom.
It's an heirloom.
Well, I tell you, talking about size, and the Burmese blacks are they get big, but those Amazon basin yellowfoots, man, they're just they get some size onto them too. So, like I said, the redfoots or the yellowfoots are just, and they're good for our areas too. They like that humidity.
I have a buddy down here in like the Rincon area who's, I think he's got some red eggs right now.
Yeah.
Because he's doing, I think, a lot with leopards.
Okay.
Oh, those are cool.
I think. I don't know.
Nice.
I just talked to him the other day because he called me up. It's John Calloway.
Oh.
So, shout out to John.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah. I've been half tempted. This was several years ago. The Aldabras, Bill had one, Bill Albright, and I was like, oh man, I need to get one of those, but I don't need to get one of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel that.
I try to stay away from the cicadas just because I like my fence intact.
It's like a little wrecking ball leg.
Yeah.
I just see on the neighborhood webpage, some tortoise attacked my dog.
That's funny.
Came out of the fence covered in blood.
Those things are so big, man. Like once you see one like full blown, like old, those things are freaking huge.
Though.
Oh yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
just a full-grown adult just doing its thing.
I'll still never forget the time I found a Texas tortoise while I was living in Texas, and it
like a gopher.
No, it's a Texas tortoise. At least, or am I wrong?
I don't know. I was unaware they had.
No,
I don't know.
I'm not. I was told it was a Texas tortoise. Maybe they were.
They call that a red-eared slider in most places.
But no, this thing. I have a picture of it. We were walking down a path, and I look over, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" It's just this tortoise, just like scurrying through the brush, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's a Texas tortoise. We have those."
Sure enough.
Yeah, there is a Texas tortoise.
Okay. Yeah, I saw one in South Texas, and it
kind of looks like a little sulcus.
I was blown away. I was like, "What is a freaking tortoise just running around out here?" Whatever.
I would love to find a gopher here.
Oh, dude, finding a gopher would be awesome.
My dad lived in Denellen, Florida for a while, and he had one in his yard that burrowed in. He had about 3.5 acres, and he came outside one morning. He's like, "Where's Ryan?" He's like, "Call for me." I'm like, "Dad, I'm over here," and I'm filming it. And I'm like, "This thing is so cool."
Yeah.
He's like, that thing's always out running around. I'm like, "Dad, this is so cool."
You don't understand.
Yeah, you don't understand.
Same genus as gopher tortoises, just a different species.
The Texas tortoise.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, now we gotta look for indigos.
Indigos, diamondbacks, go.
Yeah, I mean, P and Cody, they had at least one gopher on their property that had been digging and stuff, because you find the burrows and whatnot. Right. They're pretty. When you see a gopher burrow, it's pretty obvious that it's a gopher burrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember going and looking around and thinking, like, man, I wonder if I stuck my hand in there right now if there's a giant ass diamondback chilling.
Only one way to find out.
That's like the trifecta, right? For like the Southeast is like gopher, tortoise, indigo, eastern diamondback.
You win.
You find all three, go play the lottery that day.
Yeah.
Brownie points if you can find all three in the same burrow.
Yeah. Well, we don't want Jake around diamondbacks.
Ah, so funny.
His hand just started to twitch.
Yeah, I can already feel my thumb just touching. I'm actually pretty sure it was the same trip that I found the tortoise in that I got bit. Fun fact.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, so if you were someone who was getting into venomous now, in the current day and age, and you weren't a complete idiot that was compelled to post everything on the internet, like what species would you be getting into?
Man, copperheads.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, when we went to the last Columbia show they had, and some of the copperheads that they had there completely changed my view. I've always loved copperheads, but seeing the stuff that a couple guys had there,
some like aberrant ones,
dude,
and
patternless, striped, aberrant, it was freaking nuts. It's like, dude, some of them were like $1,200 for this little.
Really?
Yeah, there was one for like $1,500. This little tiny neonate copperhead.
I didn't see the price tag. I'm sure I saw it.
I mean, it was beautiful, but I was like, for a copperhead, but I get it. This thing was nuts, man. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
That Columbia show had the biggest damn beat I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was like morbidly obese.
Dude, it was
I remember seeing that and being like, I don't remember him getting that big.
Yeah, dude, that thing was freaking
Diesel.
massive.
Jacksonville had some pretty big ones. I don't remember. It was someone they didn't look familiar and their name wasn't familiar.
No.
But there was someone who had some Malayan pit vipers, which I thought was cool because you don't see those very often.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
I used to have them. Yeah.
Someone had a black squam, 2 black squams that I'm sure were produced by Alex, but those things are like I know I talk about my Atheris fetish a lot, but seeing a black squam in person, I was like, it might cause my divorce. But I'd also have a black squam.
Yeah. So why copperheads?
They don't get real big. Yeah. They're I mean, most of the time they do all right on the hook. Most of the
time. Not the ones I've dealt with.
Covered in baby oil.
But yeah, the biggest thing is the size, and then their venom, their toxicity isn't as high. Yeah, so
that makes sense.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And it depends on, they are all individual. When it comes to temperament and stuff like that. And yeah, once you really tick them off, it's done. Well, I mean, if you look at a copperhead, a wild type copperhead, color phase is supposed to blend in. So, I talk to people all the time about difference between a cottonmouth and a copperhead, and they're always saying, "Oh man, those cottonmouths are super mean," and I'm like, no, actually the copperhead is more likely to bite you because their first line of defense. I
said they're the worst, man. Everybody talks about cottonmouths being this, that. I'm like, dude, every copperhead I've dealt with is 10 times worse than every cottonmouth I've dealt with. Like, as far as wild animals go, But. Yeah,
because their first line of defense is gone. So once they know that you've seen them, I mean, the cottonmouth, it's showing its mouth and the white in its mouth. And I mean, I've actually stepped on them in the wild, and they never bit me. They're just kind of, maybe do a mock strike, but it hasn't been real bad,
Oh man,
but now if they bite you, then cottonmouth will mess you up.
Oh yeah.
So.
I was so close to convincing Katie to let me get a pygmy from Phil.
Pygmies are cool.
We know, Justin.
I know.
We know.
Like, we saw him in the Jacksonville Zoo, and I was like, "That's an adult right there. Look how small it is."
Look how small.
Like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
I used to breed the Western Massasaugas. They were really cool. I like them. But yeah, I've had the Dusky and the Carolina Pygmies. Those are real cool.
I love the Duskies, man.
Yeah.
I love the blues. You know, everybody likes those deep red pygmies, but dude, I like those
I
like
like the
powder.
silvers and blues.
I like the powder blue pygmies, man. Oh God,
Mm-hmm.
so nice.
Never seen one down here though.
Yeah, they're more of a Florida thing. I pretty much all the ones I found. I only found one more red one in Florida on the trip to the Tallahassee area we took, but most of them were like that dusky color. I found one. I have a picture of it next to a quarter, but dude, it is a little tiny thing, about as big as this freaking quarter was, but it was just blue, dude. Oh, this beautiful powder blue color. It was amazing. I love that.
Around here you'll see Duskies closer to the coast, in the depressional areas, and then you'll see more of the Carolina Pygmies in the sandhill regions.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I just love the cryptic face and stuff where you at first glance you can't tell sort of where the eye is because it all just sort of blends in together. And
I love the little twitch that they do, the head twitch. They'll be like
a little bob,
I don't know, crazy. But you have to, if you listen real closely, you can hear them rattle.
Cool.
Yeah. It's like a little buzz.
Yeah. I've never seen anyone post any pictures of any here on the island. I
found them in Ridgeland.
See, that would make more sense. I don't know. Like, honestly, if someone said they're not even on Ladies Island, I would not be surprised.
Yeah. Being as isolated as it is now.
I've never even seen any DORs. Like, maybe it's because our coral snake population is so healthy. That's why we're not seeing many of them. Like, all the black racers we have.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we got to stack tin this year. I'm stacking the tin. The single sheet garbage.
You should already have it.
Doing nothing.
You should already do some stacking on it.
I'm going to do it tomorrow.
You know what I need to do is I need to come down there, visit you guys. We go to Paris Island and look for some diamondbacks.
So I tracked diamondbacks on Paris Island one time.
Nice.
I wanted to get in contact with whoever's doing that just to be like, I'll carry your water. I don't even care. Like, you don't even have to give me a hook. I just want to be out there and see one.
Yeah, it was so cool, man. Like, because my buddy, I'm still friends with him, but he's not doing it anymore. But he was a student at Marshall University, and he was doing his graduate project down here, and it was on Diamondback. So he was basically in charge of that. He had a whole list of Diamondbacks that he would track. They're all named, something specific, and it was just the coolest thing being able to, he's like, okay, this one's normally in this area. We go to it, take the tracker out, and you follow. All of a sudden, that you get into like this little circle, and that thing's just singing, and you're like, all right, spot the Diamondback, where is it? I think we probably found 5 that day. Ah, dude, it was so cool. I don't count them as like herped because to me that was
kind of cheating.
That's cheating. People are like, no, dude, you found them in the wild. I'm like, yeah, I've seen them in the wild, but I don't really. No, I don't count that.
I just want to see one.
Dude, it's so cool. They're so cool, man.
That is the tiger of the Southeast, in my opinion.
Yeah. Paris Island, man. It's Paris Island and the Barrier Islands are, I think, some of the only areas you can find them. I think you would almost have an easier time, like on the more secluded islands around here, because they swim. There's one time. This was several months ago, while it was still warm. I was on the boat with 2 buddies, and we're throwing the cast net trying to get bait. And somebody's like, Jake, there's a huge snake up there. And I was like, what? And I'm looking around the water. I don't see it. My buddy was like, dude, that thing had to be pushing 6 foot long. He's like, it was huge. He was like, that was a Diamondback. I'm like, if there's going to be a snake all the way out here, it probably was. But I've had another buddy of mine had one get on his boat. They were fishing. This thing literally crawled up on the boat and sat there. They had a picture of it and everything. One of the guys, they were taking somebody fishing. They're like, what do we do? They're like, nothing. Let it sit there. It's taking a break. And, 10 minutes later, hop back in the water. What in the world, man? They're freaking nuts.
Yeah. I know down down in on Paris Island for a while. I don't know if she's still involved with Marshall University. I think she headed up the program for a while, but Jamie Waldron, she actually came to Coastal when I was a grad student at Coastal, and she looked at being a professor there, and they had me take her around the whole campus since I was a herp guy, and she's real cool, and she was telling me about the studies that she was doing down there in Paris. And actually my one of my good friends, Aaron Gooley, he got his PhD. I think he has PhD there. Either he got his, I think he got his either his master's there or his PhD. He's eventually got his PhD, and he's working up in Illinois, or no, he's in Indiana now. He was in Illinois. Now he's in Indiana, but he worked with Jamie Waldron with his grad work.
Maybe, I don't know. Tony Mills, who does the Coastal Kingdom show on the SCE TV channel, they did a section on Paris Island Diamondbacks, and they had a lady there that was running it. And she was younger. I don't know. I don't remember her name. I want to ask him who's doing it now, just like I said, because I'd like to get in contact with him just to, I said, I'll be your mule, your packing mule for things like load all your backpacks and stuff, and I'll carry them. I just want to be out there and see them. You know?
Dude.
But I don't know if that's a liability thing or what.
I don't know. My buddy took me, and it wasn't a problem. You know, he just asked me, he's like, "You want to go find some Diamondbacks?" I'm like, no. But it was nothing, you know. He was a student basically running the thing, and we went out there on like a Sunday or something, and nothing. No problems. I met him outside the gate, and I rode in with him, and no issues. So
it's such a prime island too for all that stuff.
Dude. I had no idea all the habitat they had out there, man.
God.
Jesus. It's hard to get on Paris Island nowadays, though.
If
you're not military, you better know somebody that is. You're not getting on that sucker for nothing.
Jamie is around the same age as me.
Okay.
I don't know if
I'll have to go back and find the video. It's on YouTube. I'll have to go hunt it down.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But
go ahead. It's hard to get on the islands now.
Yeah, they've cracked down on all that stuff big time.
Yeah, try to get on Monkey Island.
Yeah. Good luck. I actually fish around Monkey Island quite a bit. We've got a lot of fish over there, but man, I never actually saw monkeys out there until I started fishing a lot more with a buddy of mine. And sure enough, man, there's one day we went out there and they were freaking everywhere.
We need to get like GoPros and sneak on there.
Dude, you set foot. If you set foot on that island, there's gonna be helicopters over you in a matter of minutes.
Oh yeah,
dude, I'm like, no joke. If you set foot on there,
how do they know?
They've got cameras everywhere. Literally everywhere, dude. If you put a freaking toe on the dock, guarantee within 5 minutes.
You don't go on the dock. You go.
It don't matter, man. You set foot on that island, in a matter of 5 minutes, they're gonna have helicopters over you.
Yeah, it's
probably because you'll catch some sort of rare disease that is going to be the
also that
end times.
Yeah. I don't want herpes from a monkey.
No.
Yeah. Especially something that could potentially kill you.
Yeah. Jake's safe, so he'd be a good person.
But no, speaking of like my buddy, he's offered me several times. I'm going to try and take him up on it come springtime. He wants to take me kind of island hopping around there to, go look for Diamondbacks and anything else on any of these barrier islands we can find. So I'm going to try and make it happen. Obviously not monkey, but some of the other ones that you can go on, because there's a lot of islands that you can just pull up to by boat and beach it and go walk around.
There's one that my dad hunts on a lot that I need to we should check that out in the off season.
Yeah, dude.
I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's an island that it sounds like it's a pretty decent size.
Right.
But they go hunting on that.
I still want to go to Defusky and look for some yellow rats. Some corns. Because dude, that's where the best corn snakes would be, man.
Yeah.
On a totally secluded island like that. Oh, dude. Yeah.
After seeing some of the ones from Spring Island that Tony sent me pictures of, like I think those might take the cake.
Oh yeah, no,
Better
Spring
than
Island
OPT Hunt Club
yeah,
ones by a long shot.
Yeah, no, the Spring Island corns are, I mean, just bar none. They're
fire engine red.
I'm still getting the mail from my buddy.
Yeah.
So
they're nice.
Yeah, I've actually did some herping up in the McClellanville area, and man, there's some beautiful
my
corns up there.
From. Yeah, it's
really
really
good,
rural
deep red. Yeah.
How far is that from you?
About 45 minutes. Yeah,
that's not bad.
East?
Yeah. North of me, northeast.
Because isn't Somerville like slightly more inland?
Yeah.
From Charleston.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yes, Somerville's kind of south of Monk's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
So to get to McClellanville, a lot of times if I don't want to fight traffic, I'll go through Monk's Corner and take the forest up through.
Yeah, Francis Marion's another one that.
Oh yeah, man,
really nice.
Francis Marion, yeah, it's really nice.
I'll never forget when I was coming back from Texas after being bit by the rattlesnake. For some reason, my GPS took me through the middle of the Francis Marion National Forest while I was trying to get back to Georgetown in the middle of the night. And all I could think of was hitting a deer or something or blowing a tire. And I'm like, if anything happens, I'm screwed, man.
Wow.
Like pitch black. I didn't see a car for an hour and a half driving through that crap, man. I was like, I'm gonna die.
So when you just stop, get it.
This is how it ends.
Yeah.
So you just stop, and if it's a clear night, get out and look at the stars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I miss is looking at the stars at night on a clear night. Yeah, that's pretty epic. When I lived out in Arizona for a while, and man, I tell you what, the stars are so bright out there.
Oh yeah,
it's
man.
Amazing. And you didn't have as much atmosphere with the, here with all the humidity and everything. Out there, so dry and clear. It's just like, wow.
It's cool. Crazy, like talking about like stars and stuff, even compared to like if you're in the city of Beaufort, you're not going to see anything. But you drive 20 minutes out to where my parents are in Sheldon, like you said, on a clear night, dude, you can look up and it's just filled. The sky is filled with stars. And yeah, I'm the same way. I love that. You just lay in the back of a truck and just stare,
Yeah, exactly. That's nice. That's nice. So what stuff have you guys been getting into? What type of animals?
Colubrids for me in general. Justin, bunch of freaking corn snakes.
Yeah.
I am planning to sort of go through and thin out on some that I don't fit into the sort of the long-term plans as far as stuff I want to focus on. But yeah, those, and I got those Radnophis, the Persimmum, because I sure they're Goniosoma, but I won't call them that.
Why won't you call those that? I thought those were more of the true Goniosoma.
No, that's Jansenine oxycephalum. So
excuse me.
Got a pair of those. Those are doing really well. They're settling in really nice. Little eating machines.
Nice.
And then sort of the rhinos are kind of the big one for the year.
Nice.
Definitely not going to do as many pairings as I did last year.
Are you pairing up any rhinos this year?
Yeah. Nice. Going for it. Full send. So
nice, man.
Excited for that because I could have a freaking house full of those things and be happy.
Yeah.
The funnest snakes. Better than Barons.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I freaking love my Barons, man. Ever since I moved them from quarantine into the main room where, it's just warmer in general, they're so much more like out and about and active. And yeah, I love watching those freaking things, man. They're so cool. Yeah. But I've got, and cooling right now, I've got Santa Rosa County gray rats in the garage. I've got albino Florida pines in the garage. Got Brewster County fork line gopher snakes. And that's everything I'm trying to pair up as far as colubrids go. Then I've got 2 pairs of carpets together right now.
Those look like they've been doing some work.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm confident in at least one. They were together for a while, but they've been apart for the last little bit. So I'm going to give it a couple more days with them. The other pair, they were together for a few days and then they've been apart most of the time. So I don't really know. I'm hoping the male got the job done, but probably going to pull him out for a few days, give him a small food item and try and put him back. So I don't know. We'll see. But if I get everything, it's going to be a busy season.
Yeah.
I also have thorn scrub rats that are in cooling right now, but those are on in the raffle. So if anybody gets the thorn,
what county are those?
Those are McMullen.
That's right.
McMullen County.
I couldn't
Texas.
remember. When I put them on there, I couldn't remember if they were Brewster.
Yes. No, they're McMullen County trio, male, 2 females. They already are proven breeders, all 3.
It's a nice trio.
Yeah, it's a nice trio. So they're proven. If you get them, they'll already be pre-cooled. So
what really needs to happen is people need to buy slots on this albino cow king.
Yeah, isn't there only one person?
No, there's like 3.
No, I thought it was just Bill.
It may just be. I can't keep up with them all.
Dude, why don't you put your name on it so you can just keep it?
I don't want to.
What, you don't want a bitey snake?
As I get older,
you've grown
in my old age of 32, I've come to really not enjoy the Getula complex stuff. Like at all. Like Easterns are kind of the only thing that I would consider holding on to if I had them. But
Skylar's Florida Kings were pretty okay.
That's cool. He can enjoy that.
I think king snakes, I always refer to king snakes like cats. You hold them and it's like a cat, you're petting it and it's like, oh, it's loving you. And then all of a sudden it bites you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a king snake.
Yeah. That's how I feel about rosy boas. But I can feel that.
There's I don't know. Like I've called the Getula complex should be reclassified as meth propeltus because that's everyone I've dealt with. They're just like spazzy as shit.
Just freaking meth heads.
They're gunning for you. They think you're food. They do that same thing you were just talking about, where they're all cool and you're handling them, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, this finger's. I want to eat it."
Yeah, thank you.
But I have some corns that are like that too, and I think it's mostly an age thing. Like they sort of hit that 1 to 2 year mark, and some of them they just get so food crazy that they just go for anything that moves.
Yeah.
I've got 2 in particular that are really, really bad like that.
And that's always the worst, that feeding response type bite, because it's like I'm holding on and I'm going to try to get as much of your finger down my mouth, down my throat as I can. So,
dude, I had a hog nose that went like knuckle deep on my finger one time, and I was like, "This is bad." But speaking of hog noses, that's also something I got recently. I mean, I got 2 a few months ago, but more recently, last weekend, I got some really, really nice hog noses. So.
Westerns?
Yeah, Westerns. I've got 2 normals from Jason Keller. Then last weekend, I got another pair from Elijah Day. And I got, so let me think about this. The female's a albino anaconda, possible Arctic, 50% het sable. And then the male is an Arctic conda albino or AAA, 50% het sable. And they're just freaking smoke shows. So super pumped about those, getting back in the hogs a little bit. Not a huge morph guy, but I really like hognose morphs. So I'm gonna dabble with those a little bit, especially the anaconda gene. I love the anaconda gene. I love albinos.
Yeah,
so those are definitely going to be my focus, and obviously Arctic now as well. I'll just get lucky if they happen to be het sable, because that's kind of the ticket. That's the big morph right now is sable. But
what all the cool kids are getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't really like the morph, to be honest.
Yeah, Sable itself is
like
really
by
not that
itself, no.
attractive.
But like they're very expensive. Like Sable by itself, a het Sable is like it's insanely expensive. So, but apparently, if you mix Sable into AAA, it makes, I forget what Eli called it, a sun glow or something like that. But it's freaking nuts.
Loop-de-doo.
So shut up, corn boy.
Wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
Yeah.
Westerns are awesome. I really like them. I mean, even the wild type is really
Oh
cool.
yeah, I have a pair of the wild types and my
nice.
male from Jason Keller. So I was originally just getting the female albino conda to put with him because he's so unique. His patterns really spread out and just a really, really cool example of a wild type. So I wanted to plug him in Anaconda and try and get some high white albinos and stuff to see what would happen. But now I have the AAA.
Nice.
So yeah, Eli's a good salesman, man. He'll sucker you into it. Oh yeah, no, he got me, but I'm not mad about it. The female though, it was the craziest thing. I had her in my hand and she like would come up to the side of my finger and just like open her mouth on it. I'm like, what are you like? Stop. You're like 2 inches long. Like, don't even try. Then she was like trying to do it on like the palm of my hand and stuff. I was like, it doesn't even look like it. Like, it's not even my finger, dude.
Doesn't
like,
matter.
What are you doing?
You never know until you try.
Yeah, she tried to bite me like 3-4 times. It was kind of adorable. So I don't think I have any problems getting her feeding. So
yeah, good deal.
Yeah, man, they're awesome.
Now, what about Papua New Guinea?
I still have a lot of poplin carpets.
Yeah,
that's. I say a lot. I sold quite a few not too long ago. Like when we went to Daytona, I probably sold 6 of them. Like just babies that I produced. But I've got 4 adults together right now for 2 pairs. I think I've only got, and thinking about it, it's almost depressing. I've got those 4. Then it's another 8. So I probably have 12 or 13 carpets right now. A couple more, but they're going out whenever we can figure it out with the guy that I'm doing a trade with. Another pair that I produced, but yeah, slimmed down on those a lot. Getting into colubrids because I have way too many colubrids now. But yeah, still working on those.
And that was a word mix to get you guys to start talking about another thing, which is Tiki. That's why when I said Papua New Guinea, talking about the Tiki guy, get you guys into Tiki.
What is that?
Yeah,
so I know you were big into the Papuan carpet pythons, but Tiki, I need to get you guys into some Tiki stuff because that's my other love. And Papua New Guinea is real big in the Tiki culture. So
explain what Tiki is. What do you mean?
All right. So Tiki is a subculture of a Polynesian style influence. So sometimes they call it Polynesian pop. So pretty much when you go to a bar that like a beach bar, a lot of times they'll say that you're going to a Tiki bar.
Right.
But Tiki itself, actually, Tiki is started after World War II. All of the servicemen were coming back, and they wanted to bring back the Polynesian culture, and so it's actually a California thing. Tiki is more of a it's a United States, Southern California type craze. It started in, I think it was 30 33 or 34, right around after Prohibition. People started getting into these. Don the Beachcomber started his first restaurant on, it's like Tiki bar, and the Papua New Guinea culture overflowed into a lot of these bars. Trader Vic's was another one that started. Trader Vic's started from Vic Virgin, worked with Don the Beachcomber, and started his own restaurant. So there's actually a Trader Vic's in Atlanta, Georgia. That's pretty historic. So you had all these phases of Tiki. You had the early phase, the original phase, and then you had a resurgence back in like the 50s and 60s, and now the third wave. I think it's about 90s it started back. But I'm actually drinking from I don't know if you can see this mug, one of these Tiki mugs that are real popular.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that earlier, and I was like, "What kind of freaking glass is that?"
Yeah, kind of
the mask.
Yeah, Papua New Guinea style.
Yeah,
mask there.
cool.
Yeah, but that's so that was kind of a play on words when I asked you earlier.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that's what you're talking about. I was like, I don't really know what he means by that, but I still have the carpet pythons.
Yeah,
You converted your like porch area that you completely sort of gutted and redid, right?
Yeah. It's a work in progress right now. I'm trying to do everything like low budget. So, I'm doing all of the work myself. I'm going to a lot of thrift stores and stuff like that, buying the stuff. And, it's becoming a pretty big thing. Slate, he loves it, and he'll go out onto the porch, and, when people come over, he goes, "Oh, you got to see the lightning machine," or have it set. I have thunder and lightning going, and then the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yep.
That's one of his favorite movies. Yeah. So he's in love with that kind of stuff. So he'll go out. As a matter of fact, he has his own little Tiki mug that he drinks out of. We make Tiki drinks, and he's like, I want my Tiki drink. So we'll make him a little virgin, like fruit drink. But yeah, it's definitely a big thing right now. As a matter of fact, down where you guys are at, there's in Savannah, there's a couple Tiki bars.
Is there?
Yeah, one of them is called Bamboo Room, and
that one sounds familiar.
Yeah, and there's another one there. I haven't been to either one of them, and so Sarah and I are planning a trip down there at some point. It might be. It was going to be soon, but with Slate's condition, it's going to probably be, once we figure out his, get his situation,
right,
taken care of. But yeah, it's definitely a fun thing.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's crazy because they have all these like different conventions and stuff, almost like the reptile community. It's actually a lot like the reptile community. It's a small group of people, but when they get together, they just like geek out on this kind of stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, and mine's more. Originally, it's like kind of a mid-century style. Very Polynesian influence, but the new wave is kind of going into like the creature from Black Lagoon and like Universal Monsters and kind of stuff like that. Some people are like purists that will say if it's not French Polynesian, it's not Tiki, kind of thing. But I don't know. But there's a lot of mix. Like I see shrunken heads in a lot of the purist places. I'm like, well, the shrunken heads actually, the Papua New Guinea, they're headhunters, but they didn't practice shrinking heads. Actually, that was down in the Amazon down in South America, tribe down there. So I think there's a lot of influence from different places. But my whole thing is, so someone asked me like, well, what do you consider Tiki is? And my thing with Tiki is anything that has like tribal art in there. I don't care if it's from French Polynesia, Africa, South America. You know, I have a bar that's set up like a Mayan or Aztec type. I think it's a Mayan style bar. So a lot of those masks from South America, Africa, French Polynesian, Asia, you know, all of them kind of have a very similar look to them.
Yeah.
So just as long as someone has that kind of art and has a kind of like a tropical vibe, you know, I don't know if I would call Tiki like, you know, some setup from the tundra. Has some sort of tropical feel to it.
Right. Yeah.
But
the Papuan stuff in particular is interesting too, because I've seen some of the stuff that Ari Flagle's posted as far as things that he's like art that he's sort of done that's similar to what's done sort of tribally over there, and it's definitely unique from a lot of that other stuff. Yeah, the colors and patterns and things.
Yeah. I really like the Papua New Guinea style artwork. I like the kind of googly eyes or some of the cowrie shells in there. I really get into a lot of that style. You know, I like all the different area artwork, but I really Papua New Guinea has some really cool art. So
it's an interesting place.
Yeah, it is.
Still, still a place that I don't know if I would want to visit without knowing someone that knows the area good.
That's the big one.
But it's pretty cool.
So it's funny we mentioned that, like Dan Maleri just put a video out today on YouTube talking about there's the hobby of herpeticulture. Like it does exist in Papua New Guinea, which is interesting because you wouldn't think it would, but he had someone send him a picture of an insularis that they found on Papua, a blue one, which is definitely not native to Papua, not anywhere close, you know, and they're thinking that herpeticulture and stuff, because it's a thing there, like people are it's similar to a Florida thing where people are releasing some stuff, and he talked about this smuggler that got busted. And he had some chondros and some other stuff. It was in the Sarong area, and because of a lack of budget, both on the rescues part that took the animals in and the government's part, like they pretty much released those animals in Sarong, even though they weren't from Sarong. So he's like, if someone does a study here now, like it's kind of tainted. You don't know, you know, that puts a pretty big sort of caveat in your data if you're trying to study things. I mean, whether or not only a handful of animals really makes a serious impact long term, I mean, who knows? But I just thought it was interesting because I didn't realize that herpeticulture was a thing. You know, when we think Papua New Guinea, we don't think of a terribly developed place, but like there are the major cities and stuff like that. It sounds like there are pretty first world, you know, in comparison. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it would be I don't know, it would be a really cool place to visit, but it's I don't know, I wouldn't want to take my family there.
And I don't know, like I asked Daniel Natush that when we had him on the Chondrocast a couple of years ago, you know, because we've always heard like most of Papua is probably not the safest place to go, but he said if you're sticking to like the major cities and stuff, he's like it's really not any worse than like there's our like vacation areas in Papua that are, you know, just like you know, in Mexico there's plenty of vacation spots there that are safe in comparison to the, you know, the rest of the country and stuff. So
you want to stay at that vacation spot, don't go wandering around in the woods. But
But we all know all the stuff we want to see on Pablo.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Not in those
That's the thing, though. It's like if I
Right.
went somewhere like that, I want to be in the woods. I
can
want to
go,
be
but you can't
herping.
enjoy it.
You know, like I don't want to go there and sit in a freaking hotel. No,
Yeah.
go in the woods.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, we you know what we need to do is we need to all get together. We need to go herping down there around you guys, and then afterwards we need to celebrate with all the species that we see by going over to the bamboo room down in
there you go.
Savannah.
I'm down.
There you
Definitely
go.
down, man.
I haven't been to Savannah in a minute.
Dude, I try to avoid it.
That
Honestly, but if we went, I'm okay like going like during the day and stuff. I'm not a bar. I'm not like a go downtown Savannah at 11 o'clock at night and bar hop. Like, I don't.
I just never
Yeah.
saw a reason to really go down there.
Yeah,
That's the only reason.
that's the other thing.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I like about the Tiki bars are that it's not like
Oh yeah, it's not like a
Bar,
bar.
it's not
bar.
diner.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's kind of, I don't know. It's you just feel like you're transported into a different place and time almost. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, man.
And that's
definitely get down here and we'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, and that goes back to like the whole thing with escapism and everyone wants to try to escape some realities. So that's because I'm like you, Jake. I never was big into the like club scene or anything like that.
Jake is a club rat. Don't let him fool you.
I was not. I went to Savannah. Like, I'm not even gonna say clubbing. We went bar hopping Savannah for one time, and it was one of the worst. No, it was several years ago. I think I
remember that. You talking about it?
Maybe, but it was like literally like 4 years ago, probably.
Oh, maybe not.
Like it was a long time ago, and like my buddy took me. It was supposed to be like this whole like basically thing for me to get out, have a little fun, whatever. Because I had just got done dealing with a lot of bullshit in my life, and he's like, "Yeah, come on, man, I'll take you to Spain. We'll have fun." He got smashed. I was concerned about getting home. I'm like, dude, how are we supposed to get home? Like, so I stayed sober. Ended up being a designated driver, and I'm like, yeah, this was like so much fun for me, dude. Thanks. Like,
so glad we could celebrate.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not my thing.
Yeah,
at all. I'd rather stay at home and play with my snakes.
Nerd.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
man. Let us know when you can come down. I've gotten some pretty good herp areas now.
If you want to find awesome DORs.
Dude, the only time you got to go with me was like when it wasn't prime. You need to go with me like the first warm day in March. I'll put you on all kinds of stuff. Come on, man. You don't believe in me.
You haven't really given me much.
You haven't gone with me. You don't go with me. The only time you've gone is when it's terrible.
We find the biggest dead copperhead I've ever seen in my life.
Dude,
we find a really nice timber cane break, like 100 yards from that, dead. And then another copperhead after that, another 50 yards down the road, dead. And I'm like, thanks, Jake.
We did find a cottonmouth at the WMA that you missed that I let go. That's the hard thing about like doing the cross dikes, man. If you're walking on dikes trying to find cottonmouths, you got to be on your toes. They're quick, man.
Yeah. Especially when they're gravid.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
that sucker was about to pop.
Yeah, that sucker was freaking huge. But dude, I've sent you pictures of all the stuff I found road cruising.
I think you just pulled those off Google. I don't think that was right. I'm convinced those are fake.
Somebody's mad that I herp circles around him.
We've been talking about herping for forever. Yeah.
For the last like 3 or 4 years.
Come on, man.
I know.
I say that every year too. I'm like, I'm gonna go out more, and then I can walk outside and it's like 1,000,000 degrees. I'm like, nope.
I actually did quite a bit. I did a lot early last year, and then I got busy and I didn't live as close to my spot. So
10 stacks. That's happening. I think that might make the difference for us on my parents' property.
Yeah,
the single sheet thing just hasn't been
but
for several years.
To me, like if you're gonna herp, it's not just going out flipping all your pieces of tin and going back. It's like
I never said that
it's
was
doing
it.
a little bit of everything. You know, doing some road cruising, some tin flipping, some hiking.
Got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
I'm not against it. Just saying.
I tell you what, if you guys want a pro tip here's a good pro tip for herping. Instead of like corrugated tin, get car hoods.
Car hoods.
Yeah. So go to like a junkyard
Yeah.
and get a car hood and put the car hoods out there, because the thing about it is that where we're at, it gets really, really hot, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to go, early in the morning, usually in the evening. But these car hoods, they sit off the ground a little bit. They still provide a lot of shelter, and a lot of them have some heat resistance to them. So
Okay, yeah.
So they don't get as hot as a lot of the tin. So that's I found more herps under car hoods than anything else. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
actually.
I never thought about the whole heat resistance thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've done really good with tin too, especially up north. When it's where it's a little bit cooler. We had tin fields,
Oh yeah.
and would flip them. But where it's pretty hot here down, especially we get closer to the summer months, it's really, really hot. Yeah, the car hoods seem to do pretty good. Hold more snakes underneath there, because they can be underneath there longer. So.
Yeah. Faux show.
Have to keep that in consideration.
Yeah.
So I've got there's plenty of tin that we haven't even, that's just been stacked up sort of upright at my parents' house that I've been meaning to put out. And after seeing some of the guys on Instagram that are herping, that are doing stacks and finding stuff, I'm like, maybe that's what the difference is we just need to put some stacks together in some other spots too. And maybe see, and I even messaged one of them in particular. I think it's the Lampro TX is his Instagram. I was like, how many, what's the ideal number of sheets? Like, is it 5? Is it 3? Is it 10? And he said, you could probably get away with 3. It doesn't have to be a massive stack or anything like that, but it definitely seems like, from what I've seen, and I mean, when you see these things on Instagram and stuff, it's kind of the highlight reel more than anything else. You're seeing the stuff they're finding under these stacks, but you don't see the other 10 stacks that they looked through and didn't see anything.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot and see if it makes a difference. And then there's that lot next door to my parents that I want to put some stuff on that gets pretty overgrown. I think would be a good spot for some too. So
yeah,
might do that tomorrow.
And I think with the tin stacking, that's a good thing to do. And I think it brings you to similar type of a car hood,
Yeah,
right.
Because
layers.
Yeah, and so it's you know what I would do? I would go ahead and do both and just kind of see what you find more. But like I said, I've always had, and we've done the tin stacking too, and we've found more in tin stacking than in single stack, But car hoods seem to have that insulation there that helps. So
yeah, and I mean, I think the only reason we found stuff under those single sheets is just because that happened to be where the snake just decided to stop and hang out for a bit, because I found a copperhead and then black racers, and I think that's pretty much it, except for maybe a Tantilla or something.
Yeah, we found, I don't remember that really small one I spotted.
Yeah. That you also let go.
Yeah, I did. You always blame me for these things. You're spazzing out because you thought this 6-inch snake was gonna bite you. You just drop it like you freaking loser. Jeez.
Now, where are you guys putting tins at too? Are you putting them in like transitional areas? Or are you putting them near, near wetlands or?
So on my parents' property, they have 5 acres. There is like an area, a low spot sort of back in the woods that has become, it was never really swampy, but over the years it's become severely waterlogged and it's turned very, very, very swampy. So Maybe putting some stuff sort of closer to that. And then there's a lot next door to theirs that a guy in Tennessee owns, that gets some like nice grasses and stuff growing that I want to put some on. And then everything else, it's kind of, my parents have an old chicken coop that they now just sort of winterize their plants in. And that's where a lot of the sheets are now, is like on the back side of that. So I don't know. There's still, like I said, probably 7 or so sheets, like half sheets that haven't even been put out yet. So I'm gonna find a home for those. And there's some on the lot across there's like a power line across from that. There's 2 like small sheets over there that never have anything. So be interested to put some by the Mount Ratmore. Like all the old rat shavings and stuff that I have piled up in one area, put some over by that and see if that yields anything.
Yeah.
Well,
it's I remember, you're talking about where your wedding was at, right?
Yeah.
Where the reception was at.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I remember remember the area a little bit, and any type of a transitional area, especially when you have grasses, and then wood line, somewhere where there's some disturbance has occurred. You tend to see a higher level of
I guess that would make sense. Areas. That's why people put a lot of stacks and stuff on the edges of fields instead of like in the fields themselves.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because you get a little bit more, a cooler area, especially in the summertime with under the tree cover. But they can go back and forth, thermoregulate that way, and a lot of the mice and rats and whatever that they're feeding on. Tend to like the grasses and the seeds.
Yeah, they're in the fields a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I need to list sort of all the species on the island I've come across and seen at least once, because it's really not a long list, and so it'd be interesting to see if putting out these stacks, if I do see more of some of the stuff that I haven't seen as regularly, if that makes sense. So like black racers are all over the place, yellow rats are all over the place. A lot of corals, I don't really see those as much though. Everyone else seems to.
Okay, let us rephrase. You never see those.
I have seen live corals here. It's been about almost 20 years.
Yeah.
But they're real.
Yeah.
They do exist. They do exist.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Well, being a fossorial species, I mean, very cryptic. You're usually not going to see those that much.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner from my house last year. 2 dead on the road pancakes.
Yeah.
Like within a week of each other. And I'm like, what higher power did I piss off? I don't understand. What did I do wrong?
What did I do to deserve
What does it all mean?
Yeah, jeez. I know. It's cool. It's cool when you see one of those.
Yeah. So I wanted I think St. Augustine Alligator Farm. Katie's like, "Oh, there's your corals." Fuck you, man. It gives me such a hard time. Like I printed a shirt at work. It was a new kind of shirt that I hadn't printed on before, and I tried it out and put a coral snake on it. She's like, "Oh, is that the coral you've been looking for?" Like, damn, but fucking really, woman,
ruthless.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. Now you guys haven't ever tried keeping any corals, have you?
No, we had one at Spring Island when I worked at the nature center there, but we also sort of stockpiled like rough green snakes and other stuff in the freezer and kept it alive that way. And it seemed to do okay. I actually saw it came out a pretty good bit. Like you saw it, even if you were in the room, it would still kind of just be hanging out. Mm-hmm. But it was literally just a cage like half filled with substrate.
Well, yeah, that you have to do half filled with substrate. Yeah.
And you thaw out a baby corn or a rough green and put it in there, and you'd watch them kind of pop out and go over to it and eat it and then disappear again. It was actually pretty neat.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Nice.
But they're cool though.
Yeah.
We are at the 2:15 mark. If anybody wants to get in touch as far as like helping with Slate or just to follow you in general, where's the best place to do that?
So I don't check Facebook much anymore, but on Instagram, I have 2 accounts, Jungle to Sea and Tiki Time Tropicals, and I'm pretty active on both of those.
Awesome.
Good deal, man.
Well, I'm glad we finally got you on. Like I said, we're gonna have to make
Yeah.
Steaks and Stogies episode happen, just so
Yeah.
you and Phil can nerd about some venomous and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
can be a fly on that wall. And yeah, this episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out, Facebook, Instagram. Use the code THN at checkout and get 10% off your order. We talk about them a lot, but we talk about them a lot because we genuinely love their products.
Yep.
We talked about that Monday night, like objectively. If you took the Pepsi challenge on a black box cage versus something else, you would notice the difference.
Yes, we were buyers before they were sponsors. So
Yes.
we don't just say this because there's a reason they're our sponsor. You know, like we got the product and we
don't
loved
have people
it. And
sponsor us that we don't like.
no,
Or that we don't we don't get behind their product.
yeah,
Like,
no, I love
not into
BlackBox,
that.
man. I literally had to sit down today and figure out how I'm going to redo my room to fit more BlackBox enclosures.
I haven't
so.
played that game yet. I've been putting it off.
Oh, it's
I have a rough
happening
idea,
for me.
but it's not on paper or anything.
I think I know what I'm going to do. It's definitely going to cost some money because I'm going to be upgrading some carpets in the process.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited. I think I have a good idea. I think it's going to work.
Grasp on things.
Yeah.
Well, we will be back Monday for Snakes and Stogies, episode 151. Please check out the raffle. Plenty of stuff open still as far as slots go. The herpeticulturenetwork.com, or actually it's just herpeticulturenetwork.com. Should be right there on the homepage as you open it up. Check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to message me, message the page, get in touch with any of the guys. They'll point you in the right direction.
Yep.
And shout out to Steve Snaketuary as well.
Yeah, of course.
Venom
We've
hot
also
sauce.
tried his hot sauce and it's great.
That's right.
So.
And thank everyone. Thank everyone again for supporting Slate. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
We're
man.
glad there's something we can do. You know, I know it's minute on the grand scale of things, but it's you know, gotta do something to help out the
take care
homies,
of our own, man.
That's right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man.
So thank you, everybody. We will see you later.